welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to talk about the cost of peace versus the cost of people pleasing. I was specifically thinking about how much at peace I am these days in comparison to any other time in my life, really. For those of you who do follow me, you know that I had a low self-esteem, and one of the things that comes along with a low self-esteem more often than not is people pleasing, because you don't know how to say no. And there's a really big toll that takes, not knowing how to say no, not knowing how to put yourself first and create healthy boundaries, and creating space and time for you to learn how to look after yourself. It's a skill that you have to learn. It's an act of choice to be able to do this. And we often think that, well, it's just easier if I go along with what everybody else wants. It's just easier to say yes. It's just easier to say yes to the bullies, to the obligations, the expectations. It's just easier to say yes and go along with it. But it's not. It truly isn't. We're often allowing ourselves to be strong-armed into things that are not good for us, that are not healthy for us. And it costs us so much. It costs us our peace. It costs us clarity, peace of mind. It costs us a little bit of our soul, frankly. Our family and our friends, as dear as they are to us, they don't always know what's best for us, and it's okay to say no. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to set healthy boundaries. It's okay to say, you know what? Not today. No, I don't feel like doing that. No, I don't want to do that. No, I will not do that. I will see you when I'm free. Whatever the case may be, it's okay to say no, to push back, to create time and space for yourself, for you to do what is fulfilling to you. And sometimes actively choosing yourself and choosing peace, it comes with big consequences. And I don't really hear people talking about it, so I wanted to talk about it. Somebody who is very peaceful has made an active decision, an active choice, and has taken action to create that harmonious sphere for themselves. It is not something that comes easily, and it is not something that comes without cost. But it is so incredibly rewarding and absolutely necessary. And the alternative is people pleasing, and that costs you and it leaves you at a deficit. And in fact, it creates so much chaos, so much. When I was people pleasing, there was no space for me. There was no space to think, to pause, to reflect, to connect with my spirituality, to look after my mental, physical, spiritual health. There was no room. I was so worried about what everybody else thought, and I was so worried about disappointing or hurting anybody else because I didn't want to. I thought it would be easier to just go with the flow. It's just easier. It's fine. I'll just deal with it. But how many times you're sitting there just dealing with it and you're even more stressed out, you're even more upset. When you're getting upset about things, those are boundaries that are being crossed. Anger is alerting you to something that is wrong. A boundary has been crossed. You shouldn't feel angry if you're doing things that you want to do. You shouldn't feel angry if you're obliging people that you love. And if you're feeling annoyed or upset or tired, those are big flags that you should not be ignoring. And you can still have really fantastic relationships with people, but there has to be a respect there. There has to be a give and take. And I understand that some dynamics are incredibly hard to navigate. I know that full well. Which is why the cost of peace is so great, because sometimes you have to be willing to walk away. Sometimes you have to be willing to say no and have a confrontation and stand up for yourself and find your voice. And it is a hard thing to do. Sometimes finding your peace means that you have to do it all alone. And there are a lot of people out there who are afraid to be alone. And in a weird way, it's a travesty. You know, I really do believe in human connection, but I believe in healthy, reciprocal, respectful human connection. And if it's neither of those things, then it's not necessary. You know, you need to be able to learn how to have a relationship with yourself and be alone and stand on your own and be okay with it, because it will be so rewarding in the end. You will find yourself, you will find your peace, you will craft yourself. And in the process of doing these things, you'll create so much harmony and so much beauty within yourself. It'll start to transmute to outside of yourself. And you will start to attract people who are healthy, who are on your wavelength. And you'll even attract back your old relationships in some form, but you will be in a different mind view. Like, you'll be able to dictate the terms of your new relationship as you navigate forward together, if they want to come back into your life. And you'll be able to do it with clarity, with strength, and you will not tolerate what does not serve you. And it'll actually give you a much more rich experience than if you were to just continue with the status quo and go with the flow and allow yourself to be bullied. You know, sometimes our friends and our family, because they are so close to us, they don't even know sometimes what they're doing. They've got such good intention. They know what they've been taught and they pass it on sometimes, you know, and they may not be cognizant of what they're doing. They just want what's best for you. And in their mind, what's best for you is a falsehood that they have sort of absorbed and regurgitated back. And it's through no fault of their own. But at some point, you need to have the presence of mind, the fortitude, the courage, the grit, to go after what you need to go after for yourself, so that you can find your peace. Somebody who is at peace, who is calm, who is almost content in the mundane, in the quiet, know that that person has probably made sacrifices that you couldn't even fathom. It seems as though they have the easy life. Nothing bothers them. Maybe that's true now, but what they went through, most people wouldn't have been able to go through. They had to make some very big sacrifices. They had to make some big decisions to be able to do that, to master their emotions. You sort of have to go through hell. And if you can come out on the other side of hell and not lose yourself, but be transformed by it, you become tempered through the flame. You're something else. It gives you so much strength. And maybe you don't have to go through something so extreme, but still actively choosing to be peaceful, to be calm, to stand up for yourself, to speak your truth. And sometimes speaking your truth is speaking it in silence. You won't really understand that until you got to go through it, but sometimes not saying the things and being quiet is absolutely what's necessary, and that's you taking your stand. And once you do find peace and you create this beautiful bubble around yourself and you immerse yourself in it, all sorts of wondrous transformation starts to take place because there's so much room now. You're able to disconnect from all the noise around you, all the noise in the world. You're able to connect on a deeper level with yourself and with your environment and all the people around you. You're able to dictate how you form relationships with people going forward. You don't tolerate nonsense. You have no time or patience for it. And peace is such an addicting, lovely, beautiful, healing thing that once you find it and once you allow yourself to have it, you won't let anybody interfere with it. Not anyone, not anything, not for any reason. You will not. And you shouldn't. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about it because, it's very easy to be on the outside, looking at somebody else, looking at their life, and create assumptions. And perhaps get a little bit jealous or gossip or whatever, or pine for something. But unless you actively make a choice, go after what you need and want, who are you to judge? The things that seem easy are not easy. They require dedication. They require active action, active thought. They require courage. And that is why it is so incredibly rewarding. And that is why it is so special. And it's priceless. People pleasing, conversely, is the complete opposite. It is embroiled in chaos and in darkness and when I mean darkness, you're lost, you're hidden, you're buried. You're running in the dark, don't know where to step, you can't see your way forward, you're obscured. And it's purposely designed that way. So you've got to step out of it, and you need to be able to make these hard decisions to choose yourself and to choose peace. And you have to be willing to lose everything and everyone. And they might find their way back to you, and if they do, it'll be a much more rewarding, loving relationship than it ever was. Because when you put yourself first and you say, this is who I am, this is what I am about, and this is what I will not tolerate, and you want to be in my life or have a relationship with me, you've got to operate within these boundaries. And people honor that, and you honor their boundaries, then it becomes an incredibly beautiful, rewarding relationship. But it takes active commitment. It takes communication. And somebody isn't going to respect you just because you say and do whatever it is that they want. Quite the opposite. People will respect you. They may not like you, but they will respect you for what you stand for. I would much rather be respected than liked, any day. So if you're sitting here and you're feeling like you have to say yes, you have to do this, you have to keep the peace, you have to go somewhere, you have to attend this party, you've got to give this amount of money, you've got to render services, whatever. No, you don't. No, you don't. And if you're feeling forced into something, you need to take stock of the people in your life and of your situation. And you need to think about some changes that you need to make. Otherwise, you will continue to live in this vicious cycle, and you will continue to regress or stay the same and complacent. All you will do is complain and live a wasted life, and you'll be lost. You'll be lost in a dark cave of sorrow and stress and suppression, and you will never evolve. You will never find peace, and you will never learn what it is to be truly respected and regarded the way that you deserve. And not just by others, but by yourself. I never really cared about myself or respected myself. I did not like myself. I did not love myself until I found peace, until I chose me, until I discovered who I was and crafted myself. And I can tell you, I've never been so strong in all my life. I like who I am. I love myself. I respect myself. I honor myself, and I trust myself. And no one can mess with that. No one. No one. I'm completely fine to be all alone. I don't need anybody. I don't. But the people that are in my life these days, the connections that we have, they're very different. Very different. There's a lot of respect there. There's a lot of admiration. There's a lot of love. And I could just as easily cut those ties without a problem if they become unhealthy. Yeah, it would hurt, but I know I have what it takes to survive. And all I really need is me. But the nice thing is that I know that I don't have to worry about that, because the connections that I do have, the few that I do have, are lovely. They're lovely, and they're built on a solid foundation of acceptance. I went through some big things to be able to learn how to make some big decisions and to not tolerate nonsense, not even a little bit. And because I'm able to be strong like this, I'm able to attract beautiful, beautiful things and people into my life. And it's all because I have peace. Peace just creates so much space for healing, so much space for clarity, so much space for imagination and inspiration, for hard work, for dedication, for new routines, for healing, for changing your mindset, for creation. For tranquility, for living in the moment, for letting go of the past and not bothering with the future unless it's a beautiful vision for the future. So I encourage you to take stock of what's going on in your life and of the connections in your life. And I encourage you to start finding some time for yourself. Finding the courage to say no sometimes. Because here's the thing, you know what? The people who boss you or bully you or whatever, that you're trying to people please, they have no issue saying no to you. They have no issues letting you down. They have no issues letting you know their mind. They can tell you whatever they like. They don't care if they hurt you. They're just being honest, brutally honest. But God forbid you're honest. God forbid you say no. How on earth is that reciprocal? How on earth is that okay? Somebody who really loves you will appreciate your opinion. They will appreciate when you tell the truth, when you're there for them and you reciprocate, when you have your own opinions, when you take a stand. They will respect you for it. You shouldn't be sitting here afraid of what they think or how they're going to retaliate. That is not love. That is not respect, that is not friendship, it is not healthy. Because in a healthy friendship, relationship, whatever, there is give and take, there is trust, there is communication. Somebody who loves you will tell you the hard truths that you do not want to hear. And it takes courage for them to say those things to you, knowing full well it could hurt you and cause a fight, but they will do it because they love you. And if you love them, you will hear the truth. And you will absorb it and think on it. And you will know that it took them the courage to say those things. If you're somebody who can appreciate when somebody is busy or cancels or whatever, well then why can't people be appreciative of you? Why is there a double standard for you? Why are you the one who's stressed out? Why are you the one who has to keep the peace? And I'm not saying you need to go out and fight and be reactive and cause fights and be full of drama and gossip. Absolutely not. That's not healthy either. And be resentful and angry. No. Angry's a flag. You're angry? You need to reflect and pause and take a moment. And then you need to stand up for yourself and say, listen, this was not okay, I'm not able, etc. Always be calm. Always approach everything with love, with clarity. Be concise. Be loving with yourself and be loving with others. And if you need to walk away, walk away. If you need to pause, pause. And then you'll find the time to be peaceful when you start making these decisions. And eventually, people will take stock of how they're behaving with you. And if they want you in their life, they'll approach you differently. And they will come at you with respect, with love, with consideration. Don't tolerate nonsense, not from anyone. The cost is too high. And when you see somebody out there who's peaceful, know that that person must have gone through some things, took some hard stands, was okay to be alone, to find that peace. It's a valuable thing. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about for today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.